Today, I will inform you on the role that the United States has with Middle Eastern countries and the actions it should be taking in preventing violent attacks against women. First, I will discuss the ties that the United States has in the Middle East, and next, I will go over what the United States should do to implement better treatment of women. To my first point, the United States has ties with several countries in the Middle East such as Turkey, Egypt, Jordan, Iran, and Saudi Arabia. We intervene in these countries when it comes to politics, and while it does not always end well, we clearly hold a significant amount of power. In history, when a Middle Eastern country has either elected or been ready to elect new leaders, the United States would usually step in and create a coup to overthrow the leader. And then they would replace them with a more westernized one. We have done this multiple times, such as in Iran during the 1950s. It was after 2 years of Mohammad Mossadegh was democratically elected as prime minister that he was overthrown by a coup created by America. He wanted to nationalize an Iranian oil industry that was previously operated by British companies and was then forced out of office and is now spending the rest of his life on house arrest. Another country that we currently do business with is Saudi Arabia, the world's leading exporter of oil. We get petroleum from Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia produces over 1/4 of the world's oil supply, adding up to about 260 billion barrels. The United States and Saudi Arabia have been maintaining a relatively close relationship. Even though Saudi Arabia has small conflicts with Israel and Egypt, they never broke diplomatic ties with the United States. We are considered close allies with Saudi Arabia, and we have not only sustained and established a good relationship through the oil trade, we have a healthy governmental relationship. In the 1990s, Saudi Arabia provided for temporary deployment on its own territory of hundreds of thousands of U.S. and allied troops and contributed forces to the forces that fought Iraq in the Persian Gulf War. Another way we can implement better treatment of women in the Middle East is by writing it into our trade agreements. I will specifically focus on how we can merge women's rights into our trade business with Saudi Arabia. The United States and Saudi Arabia's goods and service trade has totaled in $81 billion, according in 2012. Exports totaled in $25 billion, while imports totaled in $56 billion. According to the Office of the United States Trade Representatives, our top export categories are vehicles, machinery, aircrafts, electrical machinery, and optic and medical instruments. When it comes to agricultural products, the United States exports $1.2 billion to Saudi Arabia. In agriculture, the leading categories include dairy products, vegetable oils, rice, soybeans, and corn. When we switch over to imports from Saudi Arabia, it totaled $51.8 billion in 2013. Our 5 largest import categories were mineral fuels, organic chemicals, fertilizers, special others, and iron and steel products. In 2012, the United States had a service trade surplus of $6.2 billion with Saudi Arabia. In conclusion, it is the job of the United States to step in and help the women of the Middle East. The United States has a huge role when it comes to the war on women in the Middle East, and the United States has not done enough. We, as the United States, are very powerful and influential, and we have the potential to change the lives of so many people in the Middle East for the better. We have gotten involved with the governments of the other Middle Eastern countries before, so we have experience working with them legally. By easily implementing new rules in our trade agreement with Saudi Arabia, the beating and murder of women will become illegal. The United States would start with Saudi Arabia, and then we would slowly help transform all of the Middle East for the better. Through discussing the ties that the United States has with the Middle East and going over what the United States should do to implement better treatment of women, I was able to clarify and emphasize the role of America when dealing with the Middle East. Thank you.